Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're going to have a good Q&A here. We've got Mark Davis with us. Thanks for joining us, Mark.
That's all right, mate. How you doing? You all right?
Got some, been looking forward to this. We've got some great questions for you here. But we're going to have a little look at your career.
That shouldn't take long.
A couple of wee things to go on there. Has been a wee bit long. So we've got the coffee.
10 seconds, haven't we?
We've got the talent. We've got Davis. It's going to be good. It's going to be all right. Anyway, look, you've had a very long career so far, mate.
Yeah.
You're 47 years old.
Yeah, that's right.
You're ranked 33 in the world. You turned professional in 1991. So, got to do the maths here, mate. It's nearly 30 years career.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it hasn't been easy. There's been ups and downs. Everybody's had ups and downs. We had Stuart on last week. Stuart's a wee bit younger. He looks older, but he's a wee bit younger.
He looks much older.
He's went up and down. His career's went up and down, but let's look at yours. As I say, you started off in 91. So you probably would have hit, those are the days of Blackpool.
It was just before Black. Yeah, it was just before Black. I think my first year was they used to have them in the clubs. I don't think there's too many players that are around now that remember that. They used to have them in these certain clubs in Aldershot, Bolton, I think Sheffield, had a club. And they were basically snooker club. It was they were lovely. I remember the one in Aldershot. What an amazing snooker club it was. They had separate rooms, literally massive rooms with one table in. And it was honestly one of the best clubs I've ever been in my life. And so they had them there. That was the first year I was playing there. And then I think the year after that, it went to Blackpool. And then it was there for a few years, which, a lot of the players turned pro sort of 92, 93. A lot of the ones that are still around now. That was sort of the year that, that was a big year. I think that was Ronnie, Mark, John, and loads of other real top players turned pro that year as well. But the first year I turned pro was actually in the snooker clubs around the country. And then it moved to Blackpool after that.
That was one of the questions, actually. We were talking about Blackpool. That was actually one of the questions that came in. What are your memories of Blackpool? And did you enjoy them?
It was, I can't, blimey, I'm 40, so I can't remember last week, let alone 1992, mate. But it was good. Listen, it was good. We were there for 6, 7, 8 weeks, I think, playing all the qualifiers. We had to play, I think, 7 or 8 rounds to qualify for a tournament. It was unbelievable, the amount of matches you had to play. It was mad. Because there were so many pros. It all opened up. There were 7, 8 under pros there. So you had to play 7, 8 matches just to get through a tournament. So you were there 6, 7 weeks at a time. And to be honest, it was a good place to go. There was plenty there to do. It was in the summer as well. It was normally July till, September or something. So it was right in the summer months. It was busy. There's a lot worse places to be than Blackpool to be stuck there for a few weeks. And it was good, actually. My memories are pretty good. Good bunch of lads there, hang around with and spend a bit of time. And I was still sort of learning the game. So, you're playing some of the guys you watched on telly there. If you get around a few matches, you get to their round and you play them, which was like amazing to sort of play those guys. And yeah, it was all right. I don't remember loads about it, but I didn't get qualified for 2 minute tournaments because it was so difficult because you had to play so many rounds.
Mark, there must have been some dummies there, mate, though. I mean, it's not like it is now where you don't have really any dummies on the tour. But I mean, in those days...
They're called dummies, they're called numpties now. They moved on now.
We're talking about a time when you had, 600 players, maybe about 400 dummies and 200 possibilities. So, I mean...
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of weak players there. You can't, get around that. There was a lot of weak players there, and it wasn't a lot. It wasn't good to see. I remember sometimes you go in there in the Norbreck and there'd be a big crowd there watching a game, and you think, blimey, Ronnie must be on there, and you go in there and it's not. And it's a guy who can't play, and they're basically in there taking a mickey, and that's not for me, all that business, to be honest with you. I didn't like to see that, but yeah, there was a lot of weak players there. But listen, they've got every right to have a go if they want to have a go. If they've got the money, they can afford to do it. They spend their £700 or however much it was. That's up to them if they want to do that. No problem at all. But yeah, you know, there was sort of 6, 7, 8 under people there, and probably half of them weren't very good, if I'm being honest.
So, I mean, see, back then, I just remind me, obviously, I wasn't good enough to go there in the first place, but I mean, what happened to the players? Did they pay a registration fee? Because you could just register as a pro, couldn't you? And if you paid the entry, then you got to the qualifying stage. Is that right?
You sure you weren't there, Dave? Because you're one of the ones I'm counting as rubbish. So I'm sure you were there, mate. You know what I mean? But yeah, you paid your money. Yeah, you pay. Listen, I was a bit. I didn't really play many amateur events, to be honest. I didn't really play. I don't think I ever played an English amateur. I don't know why. It was just the way it was. And then before I knew it, you had a chance to turn pro, and I just done it. I paid the money. I found the money somewhere, probably my mum, and I just done it. You paid. Yeah, I think it was £700 or something. I'm not 100% sure about it. It was around that figure, I think. And then you're a professional, which is, you know, probably.
Oh, I've lost you. Mark, you've disappeared. Try and come back on again. Right, we're just going to hang on a wee second here so we can get Mark back on the line. You know, a little bit of interference coming around the background there. So don't worry, guys. We're not going anywhere. You know, unless he's bottled it and decided to come offline. No, that's not him. All right, okay. Let's put that on there. I'll just give him a wee second to come back on while I'm looking at your question. Here he comes. That's quick. Yes. Yeah, that's all right. We got you back. Nope. 2 seconds. 1. Countdown.
Sorry, mate. I don't know what happened there.
I tell you what, you didn't last too long on screen there, mate.
No,
the computer doesn't like you.
No, it must have like a time limit before it has to cut off. I think it's more you than me, to be honest. I never have a problem when I'm on my own. So it must be you, Dave. Don't like your face, mate, for some reason. Where were we anyway?
I'm good. Touching on your career, I want to talk about some questions coming in now, but I just wanted to touch on your career a wee bit. As I say, it was up and down. And, you know, obviously you turned professional in 91. You've nearly had a 30-year career.
Yeah.
You must look back. You must look back and think, you know, it took a long time to get going. It actually took me a very long time to win an event. Now, I know you did win tournaments. I know you haven't won a ranking event. I think the closest ranking event you won was against Stuart in 2018. I think it was English Open, wasn't it? A couple of years.
English Open, yeah.
That was the final. Yeah. But in my view, personally, I think, you know, the tournaments that you did win early on, they would have been ranking events now anyway. So as far as I'm concerned, you're a tournament winner. So it doesn't really matter about that as much as it's not on the records, because you only had a few tournaments then. Now you've got a bloody tournament, 2 or 3 tournaments every month nearly. You know, so you can't measure it. You can't really measure it that well.
No, you can't really measure it. It's difficult to measure it, to be honest. Look, I'm an honest guy. I mean, listen, most of my career is downs, really. I mean, for 30 years, I've pretty much come away from a tournament disappointed. For 30 years, that's just the reality of it. I had some decent ones, but you know, obviously the 6 Reds are not ranking events, so they were good tournaments and that. But it's been down. But listen, the main objective when you turn pro and you're playing full time is to earn a living, and I've managed to do that. Yeah, I haven't won any tournaments, but obviously ranking events, but I've earned a living over the years, which is, you know, that's your prime objective. If there's no money in the game, you can't put food on the table, then you can't play. So I'm not disappointed. I don't go shouting, I should have done this, I should have done that, and like some players do. Anyone can talk, mate. You got to go and do it on the table. I've had 30 years. If I don't win a tournament, there's no one to blame but myself. It's as simple as that. I just haven't been good enough, and either I haven't worked hard enough, or I just haven't been good enough. One or the other. You know, if things had gone your way, it could have been different. If certain 2 or 3 tournaments I got deep in, it could have gone another way on another day, but it didn't. So that's it. I won't lose any sleep over it, mate.
Mark, listen, you're one of a lot of players that are a wee bit too hard on yourself, mate. I've spoken to you in the lounge a couple of times after losing matches, and you do beat yourself a wee bit, but it's a good thing. Psychologically, it's a good thing for a player to beat himself up, because it's helping them get through things, you know, and it's all right. But, you know, I think there's a lot of players don't need to do that. But as I say, look, you had a very staggered career. As I say, you wouldn't be in this business for nearly 30 years, maybe, if you weren't good enough to stay as a pro tour. You came through a lot, you know, and look, you know, you got in the top 16.
Yeah,
nobody can take that away from you.
No, listen, that was a good achievement to do. I mean, I think I was in my 40s when I done that as well, which was pretty amazing to sort of get in the top 16 for the first time when you're in your 40s is incredible, really. But yeah, I had a little purple patch there for a couple of years. Didn't win a tournament, but I was pretty consistent. I was playing consistently, half decent snooker and getting reasonably deep in a lot of tournaments. So which is what you got to do really to get in there. Or you could win a big one, I suppose, and that could help you out. But you still got to do all right in the other tournaments. And I've done that. So, no, I don't. You're right. I do hard on myself. For a lot of years, I was hard on myself, and I was trying too hard to produce what I thought I could. And once you start doing that, it's difficult to produce your goods then. And the last year or so, and now as well, I'm just trying to play. I'm not really bothered if I win or lose. I'm trying my hardest. Don't get me wrong. Don't take that the wrong way. But I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I'm just trying to play how I want to play, and then just that's it. And then just move on. And then if it goes wrong, you've tried your best. And in the end, that's all you can do. Just go out there and try your best, and leave everything on the table. And it's an easy thing to say, but not all players do that. They give up and start sulking, and straight away that they're giving something back.
Well, you, as I say, you had phases in your career. Sort of look at the first 10 years, but you seem to improve. You got better, and you got better. A lot of people would say you actually got better with age. And I had the same conversation with Stuart last week.
Yeah.
Stuart felt as if the more as the years went by and he matured, he felt more confident, and he actually played better snooker.
Yeah.
And you've shown that. You've actually shown that not just your ranking, but your performances. You're playing better. So I don't know. I mean, what is it? What is it about that?
Well,
being so long on the tour, and getting better.
I know. I've had that question a lot, and I actually at first I was thinking I don't really know what it is, but I think a lot of it, to be honest, is down to the fact that when Barry came in, we've gone from 6 tournaments, 6 tournaments going only one way, which was down. And then all of a sudden we got 20 tournaments to play in. And I think that was a massive thing, even though I was trying to put my head around it. But then I realised that actually that's probably what it was, because you've got so many more tournaments to play in. Those days when we had 6, 7 tournaments, we were having weeks and weeks off at a time. We'd have 5, 6 weeks between tournaments, and then when the season was over, we'd have 4 months off. It was madness, but it was what we were used to. So it wasn't madness; it was what we were used to. But looking at it now, it's incredible. Obviously the tournaments we've had since Barry's come in. And I think that was a big factor, all those extra tournaments. It may be not so much I've got better. We never know for sure. But I think it was more the fact that we had so many more tournaments to play in. And I certainly think the same with Stuart as well. All those extra tournaments. I know how good he is. He could win any tournament, whether he has 6 tournaments or 20, it doesn't matter. But having all that extra chances to do well and tournaments to play in, it was a massive factor, I think. So I put a lot of it down to that rather than the fact that I've got better with age. I think it's more to do with more opportunities as I've got older, rather than anything else.
Well, I think look, not only that, it gives you a lot of confidence. I mean, getting to the final against Stuart in 2018 English Open, that. I mean, you played very well there, actually, Mark. You did. I watched some of your games. I was actually there.
Yeah.
We had a wee chat. I think at the time, a couple of wee chats. But you were very confident, and you knew you were playing well. So can you actually tell when you're playing well? I mean, do you sort of sense when you win your first and second round match? Do you sort of do you get the feeling you can go all the way?
Well, I didn't really get that feeling, to be honest, because I've never done it. I tend not to think too much when I'm playing day. I think it's the best way to be, mate. To be honest with you, you start looking too far ahead, and you really don't want to think about anything. When you're playing at all. When you go back, you could think about things, but I didn't really look at getting deep or going to the final or anything like that. It was just taking one match at a time. I know it's boring, but really that's all you can do. But you're right, I did play well. When everyone talks about the semi-final with Ronnie, which was brilliant, don't get me wrong, but I played pretty well in every match. Starting from my first match, I think I played Robbie Williams' first match. Mm-hmm. I should have had a maximum in that match. I played really well in pretty much every match. Mm-hmm. And, obviously everyone talks about Ronnie game and the semi-final and everything. But even from round one, it was good all the way through. And I just felt great. What's more important? And what's going to help you play well is mentally I was probably the best I've ever been in any tournament. And it must have something to do with the fact that it was Crawley, which is quite close for me, and I was going home in between matches. It must have been. And I was having people coming to watch every match I played in. Can't be a coincidence that, I mean, we had one in Brighton years ago. Obviously, you'd remember that. And I didn't do particularly well in them, but that was a long time ago. But really, for years and years, it's the first one that's been sort of quite close to me where I can travel backwards and forwards. And there must be something in that. The fact that I got to the final sort of first one I played.
You're very comfortable because you actually won my pro-am, my big pro-am the year before. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I had to bump the money up to get you over.
Yeah, well, you know
what I mean? Jimmy said to me, Mark Davis won't come over here unless there's at least £1,000.
Well, you got to pay the money, mate. You want to see me, mate? You got to put your hand in your pocket, Dave. Come on.
No, Mark, you absolutely. Nobody. I think I did a wee write-up about that tournament, actually. This was a year before you got to the final against Stuart there in the English Open. You came down to the Brighton Pro-Am. It was a 32-player, but we only had about 28 players or something. You know, we had to lose a wee bit of money out of the bat. But you absolutely sailed it. I think you conceded something like 3 frames in all your matches. I think 1 or maybe 2 frames in all your matches.
Yeah.
It's like you just came there and you turned it on. Stuart was actually playing there. Jimmy was playing. I can't remember who else. I think Mark
get good field in those tournaments. I mean, I remember them. It's a good field go over to Brighton for those. I mean, the money was pretty good, really. So you get a good field. Listen, it's all good play. It's all good match play. You can practice all you want, but you want to play sort of matches against players. And
I've lost you again. It's okay. I'm sure you'll come back in. I don't know what's wrong with these lads. They're going to have to get decent computers, you know. You'd think a professional snooker player would get himself a decent laptop or a tablet. Anyway, we'll have a wee sip of coffee. Guys, keep the questions coming in for Mark. You know, whether it's about his career or any questions you want to ask about the future. I've got lots of questions that come in and through Messenger and what have you. But keep them coming in. And we'll just coming off there, you know. But here he is. He's back on again. I don't know. What have you got? You got a wee timer on your machine there?
I've got good signal in here, mate. It must be your end, Dave. It must be your end.
You're going to have to get up with the technology. You know, all the rest of it. You're getting so old. You're far behind.
I know, mate. I know. I don't know what it is.
I'm trying to help you here, Mark. I'm trying to help you. You know, Stuart bloody Bingham's not going to help you. He's worse than you. You know,
he's too lucky to get cut off, isn't he? Give me a break. No chance of happening with him.
Right. I'm going to throw some questions because I can get a wee bit carried away here and spend too much time, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, now Marty here's got a question. How old were you when you started, and how long did it take to hit your first century?
Oh, I think I started about 10. I think I was 10 or something, 10 or 11. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. All my brothers played, so they went down the snooker club and they used to go in there. They all played before me. And then I went down there with my brother one day and started playing and then just loved it. And then, you know, played pretty much all the time for men, really. I think I was 11, 10 or 11. I'm not exactly sure. And then it took me about 3 or 4 years. I think I was 14, before I think I was century when I was 14, I think it was. Right. So I was got the hang of it quite quickly, really, from what I remember. And sometimes you do. Sometimes just your eye fits it, and you sort of look. People call it natural talent. I think there is something to that. I think it's limited, to be honest with you. I think you've got to work hard, whatever you do. But I'm not saying I was naturally talented, by the way. But I just got used. I just sort of got the hang of the game quite quickly. More importantly, I just loved it. I loved playing. I've tried to play as much as I could, from then on, really.
No, it's good. I think you're one of very few really good Sussex players that came out. I think
there's a lot of good county players around, but obviously it's a big jump from there to turning professional and all the rest of it. I mean, even now there's quite a few, good county players in Sussex, and but to jump that step from there to professional and then even staying on the tour is a big leap.
Okay, just roll out some of these questions here. There's a few more people joining us now. Caught behind here. Do you think Ronnie's right in saying there are too many tournaments? From Colin Marshall.
No, how can there ever be too many tournaments? There's never enough tournaments.
Yes, exactly.
Listen, you can play in what you want. No one forces anyone to play in anything. So it's ridiculous, really. You want a tournament every single week, and then obviously no one's going to play every week. I know that even I could play every week, or Stuart. You don't want a week off. You just burn yourself out. But that's up to you. No one forces anybody to play in a tournament. So no, I don't agree. You want as many tournaments as possible, and then you pick and choose. That's why the top players can pick and choose more than other players, obviously, because they're in a position to do that. They've earned that right to do that from where they're ranked and their financial situation. Good luck to them. But no, never enough tournaments. We want a lot more.
Who's the toughest match player on the tour?
It's difficult. I mean, from my point of view, probably. I mean, Mark Selby. I mean, I've never beat Mark Selby. It's just only in 6 Reds I've ever beat Mark Selby, I think, and he's so difficult. I mean, even it doesn't matter how bad he's playing. If he's playing well, then he can obviously go to himself. You're going to be hard work. But even if he's playing bad, it will make it so difficult for you. And not all the players do that. Mark will just go in absolute granite mode and make it so tough. And he's right up there as one of the toughest players. But you say Ronnie and John Higgins are unbelievable players. But from my perspective, I think Mark Selby, because I've never beat him, terrible record against him, and he just makes it so tough. Everyone's seen it. How difficult he makes it. If he hasn't got his A game, it will just make it so tough still to turn him over.
Absolutely, mate. No, if I was asked that question, I would have said Selby and Higgins. For me, there's only 2 players that can turn a match around. They can turn a match. They could be like 6-7 frames behind you, and they can turn the match around. And I don't know what it is with them. There's just something inside their heads. I think it's psychological.
Yeah, that's part of being such a top player. Mark Selby obviously is. He was being 6-7 frames down in 2 world finals against Ronnie and John, and it's madness to turn them around and beat those 2, probably the 2 best players ever. And he's done it, and I remember watching him, and he's finished the day sort of 3 or 4 frames behind, and he looks like he's a winner. He's fist pumping and all sorts. You're thinking, well, you're fist pumping. You're 4 frames behind against Ronnie O'Sullivan. And what you're doing. But listen, he believed that was good, and he was going to turn it around. That's exactly what he did. So that's just mental toughness, and that's what all the top players have got. It's a big part of the game.
I mean, Mark and John are not the most exciting players to watch. But the thing is, they do something else. There's something else that they do to players, and they get in their heads. And I think their match play and their ability to fight back is absolute. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, they'll admit themselves. By the way, Mark, they will admit themselves they're not very exciting snooker players, but in terms of match play, nobody touches them.
I mean, there's probably not that many exciting players to watch. But listen, there's a lot of players who like to see, like I say, when Mark is not got his A game and he wants to slug it out and really make it difficult. Some people love watching that. Majority of people love watching Money and under breaks all over the place. Yeah, of course I do. But a lot of people like to watch that sort of snooker as well. The real tactical side, just making it so difficult for your opponent. Absolute granite match play. And, a lot of people do like to see that. But listen, it's difficult to play like Ronnie and Judd as well now. Play great attacking, fluent snooker and also produce the sort of standard they do. There's not many people who can do that.
So this is one of the questions, by the way. Who are some of the players that you enjoy watching and who inspire you?
I don't know, inspire me, mate, at my age, to be honest with you. I just play. I mean, I don't think too many inspiring, but I like, there's a few actually. I mean, obviously Ronnie, you like watching Ronnie, he's brilliant player. I like watching Judd, he's, great. Some of the shots he plays are just ridiculous, to be honest with you. I mean, absolutely. I know they're all flare shots at the end of but they're not actually. Because some of the frames he's played have been during live frames, which are just incredible. And he's ended up winning frames. I've seen a few of those examples that other players cannot play. And that could be the difference. When you stand at that high, to be able to play those sort of shots, John and Ronnie can't play them sort of shots. And I say when the level is that high, they could be the difference between winning and losing. Playing those deep screws. They're not. John can't play them, and Ronnie can't play them. Amazing shots and all the loads of sides. So Judd's great to watch. But do you know what? I like watching Mark Allen. I think he's got unbelievable touch in the balls. The little short,
short, quick.
Unbelievable. He hits the ball absolutely brilliant, and he's got a lovely touch in the balls, and you should really watch him. And let Sean Murphy hits the ball like a dream. So those two I quite like watching, to be honest with you, as well, rather than obviously the obvious names. And there's not too many, but if they're watching, I normally do it because they're good to watch. It depends what you're looking at. Like I say, Mark, he's got great touch in amongst the balls, a little screw and cannons, which a lot of other players play, but his technique is slightly different. So it always it looks a little bit different to the conventional techniques that you see. But he's got great touch and he hits the ball lovely.
Another question here from Marseille. I hope I pronounced your name right, mate. What was your biggest win and your biggest loss? Oh. He's referring to whatever happened here when you were 5-0 up and you lost 6-5. I mean that you'll never forget. You never forget games like that, do you?
When was that?
I don't know.
I don't remember that.
I don't know. But anyway, your biggest win and your biggest loss.
I don't remember losing 5-0 up. I nearly done it in the UK last year. Nearly. I was 5-0 up and you come back to 5-all, but it probably did happen. I can't remember. I mean, the biggest win has to be Ronnie in the semi-final with the English. It has to be. It was sort of a home-ish venue. I had, family for my kids were there and all the rest of it, and few family and friends there, and to beat Ronnie in the semi-final. And play well as well. Not any time you beat him is good, but I play well, and that has to be my best, mate. My biggest loss, guy. We ain't got enough time, mate. We haven't got enough time. So many. I'll pick the final after that. Then I'll pick the next match after the Ronnie match, Stuart, because obviously I was quite close to to get the tournament win, and even though it didn't hurt as much as I'm sure there's other matches that have hurt a million times more than that. But looking back on it, it was disappointing because I was quite close. And I was playing well, and if I hadn't feathered the white, who knows? Who knows what would happen? We never know. But I've had so many, mate. Honestly, we could be here forever.
They all do.
We could be here forever. So I'll pick that. Ronnie's the best, and then the next match after that is probably the worst. I'll pick that.
Do you ever get to a stage where you think to yourself, you've said to yourself, you know what, this is not good enough. I'm not doing enough here. If I don't get such and such place by the end of the season, I'm packing it up. Do you ever get close?
Loads of times I've said that. Yeah, yeah, I have. I said it 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, the English, not before the English, I was practicing with Jimmy Robertson. I was just so bad that I walked out the club, and I never do things like that. I'm pretty, I don't give a lot. Even
Well, we lost you again. You'll be back in a minute, guys. Keep the questions coming in. Some good questions on Messenger. It's hard for me to see how many are actually on there, guys. So keep coming on there. Colin Phillips is on there with a few nice questions. Thank you, Colin. Lady Chanel, come and say hello. There she is. This is my favorite girl. Say hello. Very good girl. Come on, off you get. That's all right there, Mark. I'm just being attacked by the cat. Lady Chanel's a big snooker fan.
Sorry, mate. I don't know what's going on. I was
No, that's okay. That's all right. I'm sending you a tutorial DVD. Just get up to date with these things, will you?
I think I am. I think it's all good, but I don't know what's going on. But what was I saying there?
I can't remember. But yeah, no, you were. Let me see. I can't remember what you were saying. I'm so bloody distracted. I've got cats jumping all over the place here, Mark. I don't know what's going on here. Sussex County League, yes. A few memories there. Question. Colin Phillips. Oh, Colin Phillips has got a question for you here.
Oh, Colin,
Colin.
Yeah. I know Colin, yeah.
He's not a bad MC. What do you think of him as an MC? Do you think he'll make it?
He's pretty good, mate. He's pretty good. I've done an exhibition with him there. He knows what he's doing.
Looky, if Colin, listen, I'm going to tell you something, Marks. If Colin had my talent, he'd be up there. He'd be out the window, mate. It'd be all over Eurosport. If he had a little bit of my talent.
Who has though, Dave?
He'd be right up there.
Who has got that? No one's got that sort of talent, mate. You know what I mean?
I hope you're not being funny now.
You can't
anyway,
find that
I'm going to
sort
get
of
on with
stuff.
this question. Okay, here's Colin Phillips' question for you. Okay, what was the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to you in front of another player, but not while playing?
God, blimey. I don't know. I can't think of anything there.
Is he talking about something that's happened here?
I don't know what he's talking about. Why not playing?
Yeah, while not playing. He's touching on something here, Mark. He's
There's probably a few. I might have to ask some of the boys to remind me of that.
Colin, you're going to have to elaborate on that and
I don't
send it
know.
on Messenger or thingy because there's too many things coming up here.
I
So
can't think.
basically, can you think of the most embarrassing thing that's happened to you in front of another player?
No, I can't. No, I'll probably fell arse over tit somewhere. Probably walking down the stairs.
You know, or maybe your fly was down, or your pants dropped down, or something like that. There, you know, or
yeah. And if you're
maybe
doing
a little
that
explosion, or yeah, I don't know.
Gerard Green or Joe Perry or Barry with you, then you know you're going to know about it for a little while. But nothing springs to mind. Sorry, I have to get back to you on that one. I have to have a think.
All right, well, how do we think about that one? All right, let me see now. Here's a question from Jerry. Are there too many pros on the tour? Statistics are showing that a third of them are not making enough to live on.
Yeah, well, that is true. I mean, it's difficult. You're right. A lot of them aren't making enough to live on. There's not. But is there too many? I mean, I don't know. I think the stand is so strong all the way down now that, you know, could you get rid of, I mean, you could possibly get down to 96, but then, I mean, I haven't got the ranking list in front of me, but the guys rank probably lower than 96 down to 110. I mean, I know those guys, and I'll tell you, they'd be really good. So, I don't know. I don't think it is because I just think the standard all the way down is really strong. There's very, very few weak players on the tour now. So, from that point of view, then if all the players are strong and they're really good players and they could do damage in any tournament, then from going on that, then really there should be have a chance to do that. So I wouldn't say so. I think possibly you could go down to maybe 96 possibly, but I think there'd be a lot of good players who would then be off the tour that are capable of doing some real damage. So I'd leave it as it is personally because like I said, I just think the standard is good all the way down.
Well, what we're seeing, Mark, what I'm noticing on the graphic side of things is you get a lot of these young lads are coming on the tour and then they're dropping off.
Yeah.
They're dropping off and then they're getting back on again.
Yeah.
And, these are young guys. These are very familiar names and you've played quite a lot of them.
Yeah.
But why is it they're sort of like getting on the tour and then they're having a couple of bad seasons and they're dropping off and coming on and dropping off? Is it because of the new format or...
It could be. It could be. Listen, you don't know. It's difficult to say because, but they're coming on. Obviously, they're drawing. In the big events, they're in the bottom. So they're drawing the top 64 player. That's in every tournament. Obviously, the home nations and some of the others, it's a random draw. So they could keep drawing top 16 players every tournament. I mean, you've seen it with some of the guys that are coming. They've had a season of drawing top 16 players in every tournament. I mean, what chance you got doing that? I mean, you're not going to do any damage when you've got to playing those guys all the time, especially if you're new on the tour. You've got to learn your trade. Like it was the old days. You go through the tiered system and you're playing guys ranked around you. Then you play someone a bit higher ranked. Then you say there's nothing wrong with that system as far as I'm concerned. And you learn your trade. Like everyone who's come on has learned like that. No problem. And I think that's the best way. Like I say, you could have really good players who could have done really well, but they've dropped top 16 players for a season. And after a season of that, or 2 seasons of that even, you're mentally frazzled. You've probably absolutely shot. You can't do it. So a lot of it is to do with that. And, I don't know, maybe they weren't good enough to start with it. It's difficult to know. But if under the older system, when it's a tiered system, if you don't do it after 2 years, you're just not good enough at that point.
That's no, I agree with you completely and totally what you said there, Mark. But is it not the case, Mark, that some of them are not good enough, or they're I mean, they all right, they get themselves on the tour, they prove themselves to be good enough to bend. They're not consistent enough. But personally, Mark, I think there's huge divisions between. If you look at 128 professionals who are on the tour at the moment, I see huge divisions and standards between them. I don't. I mean, it's just me.
Yeah.
But you're going to have a bunch of lads there who are going no further They're not going to go any further. They're not going to hit. All right, maybe some of them will just. I've been looking at the numbers. Fortunately, with the ranking system is our per the pounds, the money, the earnings related thing. And I see a lot of players who are just maybe hitting the sort of 30, 40K mark each season.
Yeah.
That's not enough. It's not enough. And those lads are right down the rankings. Okay, they're maybe just below the 64, but they're not too far below that, mate.
Yeah.
Because, all right, maybe some of them are hitting on 50, 60K.
Yeah.
But, that after taking out all their expenses, and what have you, it's not an awful lot of money. And that's why I say that, that some of these guys are really struggling to make a living. And the reason why is because they're not good enough.
Well, listen, I mean, like I say, you're earning that sort of money. When you take your expenses out, you're not really earning much of a living there. Because your expenses do mount up throughout the year. And maybe they're not good enough because the standard, I think, is so high all the way. So it's a bit strange because I'm saying the standard's all the way high, but then we're saying they're not good enough. But they probably would have been good enough to earn a lot more than that years and years ago when the standard lower down wasn't as good. I mean, so you can argue about the 16 all you like, whether it's good now as it was in the 90s or whatever. That, you can argue about that all you want. That doesn't really matter. But from 30 downwards, or even 17 downwards, you could argue, but 30 downwards to 100 is definitely stronger than it's ever been. There's no question about that. And I've been there since 1991, so that is a fact. These guys, they are very good, but maybe, as you say, maybe they're not good enough to earn a living now because it's so tough on the tour and there's so many good players. But look, they've got to decide that. And if you drop off the tour, then you've got to make a decision whether you want to go on again or maybe you're not good enough and do something else. I mean, that's for them to decide. It's not for me. But, but it could be the fact that they're down there, because I don't like to say only because draws, because it's not, it's not about that. If you're good enough, you probably will do it. But it does make a difference, and it does affect the situation if you're getting stinking draws every tournament. And other guys aren't. Other guys are getting better ones. And, it sounds a bit of a weak excuse, but it's something to it, for sure. And it does make a difference.
Question here from Sean. When did you know you were going to turn professional?
No, I don't know really. Probably. I think when they opened the game, I don't know what the time frame was between opening the game up and then doing it. Or how I was thinking at the time. I can't remember. But I only sort of knew when it opened the game you could pay the money to do it, and then I just decided to do it then. So how long before that was I thinking of doing it? I don't know. I think I was just playing and then just enjoying it. And like I say, I didn't play in loads of amateur events, so I don't think I was possibly even taking it that seriously at the time.
Yep.
I wasn't probably playing more tournaments. I played a lot of pro-am events, but not like big English amateur and all the rest of it. So maybe, I don't remember how I was thinking then, but maybe I wasn't taking it that seriously. But then they opened the game up, an opportunity came up to turn pro, and I just decided to do it. So, I'd imagine it'd be a few months, but maybe not years and years of thinking I'll be a pro, It probably came around a bit quicker than even I thought.
This actually falls in with one of the questions, actually, because I keep going through these things. I'm going, because you talk about something and it triggers one of the questions, And one of the questions was about Q school. Now, obviously, you've never had to go through Q school.
No.
Okay. You would have went to Blackpool and played your qualifiers, or you would have been seated as a professional.
Yeah.
But the question is, what do you think of Q school?
Well, no, it's a good idea. I mean, I think it's what you need to go on. I think the frame should be longer, and I think the format needs looking at. I think, to be honest, I think the frame should be longer. There should be not all crunched into such a short period of time. It should be, maybe a little bit longer, and maybe just the seeding and the format of how you qualify from Q school maybe needs looking at. Because I've heard of some situations that haven't been right in Q school because someone's already on and all the rest of it. So maybe that needs looking at. I certainly think the frame should be best of 9s rather than 7s.
That was one of the questions too, Mark. Best of 7s or best of 9s? You've just answered it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it should be, even though a lot of the tournaments on tour are best of 7s, I still think Q school should be best of 9s. I mean, you're paying a lot of money to play in the events, and I think there should be more spots up for grabs as well. I don't think there's enough spots up for grabs. I mean, there should be more available. But I think to give someone a real good go, I think the frame should be a bit longer, maybe spread out over. I know the calendar's difficult to get all to spread it out too much, especially when it's absolutely chock-a-block the calendar. But it maybe needs tweaking a little bit, like longer frames and maybe different format.
Lost you again. That's all right. He'll be back in a minute. He's getting very good at this, isn't he? That's okay. Very good question there from Tom about best of sevens or best of nines. I think we've all got different views on that, guys. Send in your views about whether you think best of sevens or best of nines. I personally think best of nines is better, but the best of seven things was a decision that World Snooker made, and I felt it was the right thing to make at the time. But no, that was actually a very good question there. That's all right. I've got you back, mate. That was a good question from that fellow there asking about best of sevens and nines. You know, he's also put down, is he right in thinking that most of the pros would prefer nines also?
I think, I mean, I don't know. I don't think we've ever done, but obviously the ones I speak to, I think would prefer best of nines. I think sevens are a little, it's a bit of a leveler, you know, it's a bit, you know, no intervals as well is a big thing. And it's not just the frames, I think no intervals. I mean, so many games have been turned around with that 15-minute interval between games. I think that's a massive part, rather than just being one frame less, you know. That makes a big difference, especially top players playing lower rank players. They haven't got that 15 minutes to think about, oh, they're 3-0 up on Ronnie or Jada or whoever, you know. They're just going straight into the next frame. That's a big difference as well. But, I mean, personally, I think they should be best, but a lot of them should be at least best of nines in ranking events, my own personal opinion. I think the majority would agree with me, but I don't know for sure because I've never really done a survey. I think the higher ranked players would. Maybe the lower ranked players would happily have sevens because, let's be honest, you're playing Ronnie or these real top players, you got a better chance with the shorter format. It's pretty obvious.
Obviously, yeah. Right, okay. That's how we look at some of these questions on the message box here. John Wood's asking, do you believe you can win the World Championship?
No.
Right. Well, that doesn't see your straight answer doesn't surprise me here because, as usual, you're too hard on yourself. You know.
Well, look, I'm a realist, Dave. I'm honest, and I live in the real world. I mean, chance of me. I mean, when's going to do it? I'm going to be at least 48, and it's highly, not impossible, obviously. But
hang on a second. Joe Davis won the World Championship when he was 60.
Yeah, he did.
All right, that was a long time ago. I know.
I think the standard's a bit different now, mate. To be honest with you.
And by the way, he's got the same name. Surely there's a wee bit of karma in there somewhere.
They should give me at least straight to the semi-final, shouldn't it?
Joe Davis 19, Mark Davis 2024. You never know.
No, mate. No. You asked me a question. I answer honestly, mate. I don't make things up. It's not nothing's impossible.
All right, you want me to come down to the real world?
The real world is more chance of you having a mallet or whatever they call it.
Full head of hair. I know what you were thinking. There's a better chance of me growing a full head of hair.
That's exactly what I meant. So,
right, Colin.
Get growing, mate. Get growing, then we have a chance.
Colin Marshall is asking. Have you changed your cue action or have you kept it the same?
Oh God, good question. I've been tinkering for years, mate. Honestly, for years, and I wish I'd never started. I'm not a massive technical player, but I've been tinkering little bits for years and longer than I can remember. And it's some days just absolutely done my head in and driven me mad. You can't believe the things I've done. But so yeah, I mean, not massively that probably most people wouldn't even notice, but I have done, yeah, little bits here and there, and not even. I mean, working with Terry Griffiths and Chris Henry, I've consciously done it, and it's been good. But it's mainly the tinkering I've done on my own before that, years before, and it drive me mad, and I've still never sort of got out of it. And like I say, I wish I'd never started and should have just played. But yeah, I have, and it'll probably keep going forever till I stop playing. But I always try little things here and there, you know. And sometimes it's good, and other times it's not.
Stuart answered that question very well last week. I think thinking about it a little bit more when he said that you know, when you develop your ability and you turn professional with the natural ability that you have, your cueing is one of the big things. It's you've developed that natural style of cueing.
Yeah.
You've developed that natural style of playing and playing at your best. And to even try and change that, forget about it. It's going to be the worst thing you can do for this.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it depends how far you go with it, I think. If you start going real technical, it's just an absolute nightmare. You know, absolute nightmare. You wouldn't want to do that. You want little things here and there are fine. And even having little thoughts in your head when you're playing matches is okay, but nothing. You don't want nothing too technical because that's very bad to do that. You want to do little changes. You start making big changes. Because it's a technical game, snooker. There's a lot of moving parts, and it is pretty technical, and you don't want to be making too massive changes. You want to go with what you got, and then you can do little tinkering here and there, but massive changes would take a long time. And then, like I say, mentally,
I mean, this game is tough enough.
Yeah, mentally, the hardest thing is trusting it.
Up here, mate, it's tough enough having to try and deal with all the demons on the table without having to think about changing your cue action. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You know, anyway, that Martin Stocker from Brighton is asking a question here. Oh, have you ever played Jimmy? We're talking about our Jimmy Robertson. Have you ever played Jimmy in a ranking event, and who won?
Yeah, I have. I've played him. I think I played him 2 or 3 times. I think. I played him in the UK, and he beat me. But he is one of the luckiest players in the world. But anyway, no. Only in practice, to be fair. I was just going to jump on it. In practice, he's just ridiculous how lucky he is. But he doesn't get as much in matches. Fair play to him. I've watched a lot of his matches, and he's nowhere near as lucky. But I played him in the UK, and he beat me. I played him in the Grand Prix last year or the year before? And I managed to win that 4-3. So I might have played him somewhere else. I can't remember. But I think I had played him again as well, and I think he won. So he's got a winning record against me if we have. I'm sure it's like 3 or 4. So he's a great player, Jim. I know how good he is. I practice him all the time. He's in practice, mate. He's just one visit all day long.
Yep, that's what I get.
It's ridiculous.
That's what I hear all the time. Jordan was telling me about that. Jordan Brown's been practicing with me.
Jordan came down. The other month and played with him, and I play him all the time. And honestly, he's incredible. I'm sure there's loads of players who do that in practice, and I've played a lot of them. And he's one of the best in practice I've ever played because he's just one visit all day is incredible. And if he get anywhere near that in matches, I mean.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying there, mate. You'll be back in a wee minute. No, that's a perfect example there, guys, because Jimmy Robertson is a friend of mine also, and he's a great player. And I keep hearing stories from other professionals about how good he is in practice, and it's like ton after ton after ton, very, very consistent. And it is another perfect example there, Mark. Just touching the guys on there. Jimmy's probably, for me, the perfect illustration of a young player. And he is a young player and very talented, very natural, a lot of natural talent. Great potter, by the way. And he's one of the very few players who's actually quite entertaining to watch. You know, because
he gets on with it. He gets on with it, mate. And
he flows around the table, but I didn't see very similar sort of wee treads there where maybe Jimmy loses a bit of confidence. I think when he's just, I see it in so many other players at his level, probably below his ranking, because Jimmy, I think Jimmy should be a wee bit higher than his ranking. He's a better player than perhaps his ranking suggests. But I don't know what it is out there, but I'll tell you what it is. I think it's psychological. Because there's a lot of other players out there. I think there's times when players know what they're capable of doing, but they have to take it to the event. And a lot of these young guys, Mark, are not taking it. They're not taking it there. They're not taking it to the venue.
Most people can't, Dave. Most people can't do that. That's very difficult to do. I'm sure there's loads and loads of players. And that's been all the way down the years. There's been players that you walk in the club and they're knocking in tons all day long on the table, and they're doing this and that. But you get them in a match you get them in a match and they've got no chance. They won't win. It's been like that for years and years and years, and it's probably no different now. I'm not saying Jimmy or whoever, but Jimmy, if he produced that sort of practice form and matches, and then I'll tell you, it'd easily be right close to the 16. I think it'd be in the 16, to be honest with you. But it's difficult to do that because you can't help but think when you're practicing, you can't help. Even though you try and take it as seriously as you can, and we do when we're playing, we try and treat it like a match. It's difficult to take that in there because all of a sudden it's just not the same, and that's one of the hardest things to do is to do that. But listen, when you know it's there, and I know he won the European, Jimmy, but and brilliant, that was brilliant, but he didn't produce anywhere near what he can him to do that. So he's won a tournament, not playing anywhere near what you can produce. So it just shows you that if he did turn it on, then he could win many more tournaments for sure. And I say I've seen it sort of when I play with him all the time because we play in the same club. So
is Jimmy your main practice partner, Mark? Is Jimmy mainly your main practice partner?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because we're in the same club, and I don't because it's a lot busier now. This calendar, I don't really travel as much as I used to. I used to go and play Barry Orchids or Gerard Green. Probably once or twice a week when we had less tournaments. But now he was busier. I don't sort of play them as much now. I only go up sort of maybe once a month or something. So I'm practicing on my own, or I play Jimmy in the club. So he is the main one I practice with. Yeah.
Right. Message from Sean here. Best venue you've ever played?
Do you know what my favourite one is Berlin, the Tempodrome in Berlin. Unbelievable venue that is. I love that place. I mean, the Crucible is brilliant. Don't get me wrong, and I love York as well, especially when it was the old system. Yeah, the old when there was only 32 in York. That was a brilliant venue as well, and it still is now. But the games in the back room were just not great. So, but the Tempodrome in Berlin, I think, unbelievable. There's crowds there are incredible every year, packed out. It makes a brilliant atmosphere. I've never managed to get. I nearly got to the semi-final one year. I lost in the quarter-final. To get to the one table setup in there would be amazing. And but I think I'm gonna choose that one because I love that venue. The crowds are brilliant. The Germany fans love the snooker, and I'm amazed we can't get more tournaments out there because they absolutely love it. And they always support every tournament we play. Paul Hunter Classic is the same. Every time we go there every year, packed out all weekend. And the atmosphere is amazing. I know it's a weird setup with all the tables like in a circle and then one in the middle and all the rest. Like they're clapping, watching your table, but they're probably clapping the table over on the other side, which is great. And it can be a bit off-putting, but that's up to you to concentrate properly, And I think our venue's brilliant.
That's part of what it is. Distractions on the crowds and what have you, even noise.
It is, and it's probably not ideal for a lot, but I just think the venue is tremendous there for the German Masters.
And talking of venues, I mean, I know some of the players have mapped the venues in the UK, especially with the home nations competitions, but I think Crawley, the Crawley Leisure Centre have done a fantastic job, mate. With the English. I spoke to the manager there and the staff, and they work really hard with World Snooker. To set that up, and I think they've done for the last 2 years. They've done an absolutely fantastic job.
I think Crawley was great. I think look, the only thing we should be concerned about is not, what it smells like or anything. The only thing we should be concerned about is players. Is what is it playing conditions like? What's the venue like when we get out there and play?
Yes.
Even the practice table doesn't really matter that much. What's it like there when we get out and play the matches, the venue, the setup in the venue? And I think Crawley has been really, really good. And I'm not saying that because I got to the final. I just think it has. I said it, last year as well when I got beat first round. I really do. I think they're brilliant. And that's really all we should be concerned about. What are the playing conditions? What's the temperature like and all the rest of it when we're actually playing our matches? Not all the rest of it, what's going on, and we could deal with all that. That's not a big issue. You don't have to have it perfect all the time. As long as the conditions are right, the tables are running well and all the conditions are good when you're playing your matches, that should be the most important thing. And I'll agree with you. I think Crawley was great.
That's a great venue. I really enjoyed going there. And I hope to carry on. I hope to carry on keeping the venue because it's do a fantastic job there. Fantastic job.
Yeah, absolutely.
World Snooker with the setups as well. Yeah. Right now, gonna get on with these questions here. I haven't even got through a quarter of your questions.
Well, I would quick answers then now.
No, we're okay. Look, we're we got a couple of guys asking about. There's about 3 questions in one here. We're talking about cues. Okay, now it's always interesting to hear what professionals say about cues. But I've got some questions. I'll put these all. You can answer all this in one. What cue do you use? Right.
Okay.
And the other question is, do you change your cue often?
No, I've got a John Paris cue which I've had for I don't know how many years, probably 20 years.
Right.
Probably longer than that. Actually. Probably 25 years. It is the same cue, but I've had little changes to it over the years. I take it up to John. He does it for me. Brilliant job. As always, little changes. New feel. I've had it when I first had it. I had it a bit longer in the tip. I'd say a little bit off the top and put it on the bottom because the tip was too small. So I've had little changes to it, but it's pretty much the same cue, yeah. And I had a cue before that which I absolutely loved, and then I was playing when I was sort of quite young. I was playing the work social club, and the club burnt down, so the cue went with it. So that's when I had to go to John and get the cue I got now, and I've had it pretty much ever since. Yeah, I've had a couple of others. I've all thought about changing, and John's actually done me another one, which I think I'm going to try once.
Is that the John Paris cue? Did he make that cue specifically for you, or did you just get the ultimate cue that he makes?
No, the one that I'm using, I actually just went in the shop and picked it.
Right.
Actually, yeah, because like I say, it was 25 years ago or something. I just went in the shop and picked it out, played a bit, and then I took up John and made a few adjustments to it. But he done me another one that he done specifically for me, which I think I'm going to have a go. And it's difficult at the moment because we don't know when we're playing again. And if they, so I don't really know what to do at the moment. I was planning on playing this season and then going to practice with it throughout the summer and then have the next season, But at the moment, it's a bit difficult. We don't know when we're going to play again. But he's done me another one, which I think I'm going to have a go with because I've just always sort of fancied having another go with a different cue, even though it's the same make. The ultimate one is done me. So I think I'm going to have a go with that when we sort of get more of an idea when we're going to play again.
Mark, I'm just going to throw. I've got no right to throw in what I'm about to throw in here, but see this business with the cues, mate.
Huh?
See back in the days, mate, when I was in working men's clubs and I was a wee squirt, players like Alex Higgins came in the club, mate, and picked up a rack cue. He could hit 100 breaks with a butt. You know what I mean? To me, all this stuff about spending £1,000, £2,000 on a cue, forget about it. Just go out and get yourself a nice cue, lads, for 50 quid.
Listen, it's preference, mate. It's player preference. Whatever you like, whatever feels good in your hand. I mean, like Stephen Endry's cue was pretty crap from what I've heard.
It's not good in my hands. I can't do anything with it.
Yeah,
but it's brilliant for me.
I think Ken Doherty's cue. I don't know if Ken still got it, but Ken's cue was not great from what I've heard. So I don't think it really matters. I think as long as you like it and you like the feel of it, that is more important. It doesn't matter whether it costs £1,000 or it costs 20 quid. It really doesn't matter. It's how you feel, and that £500, £1,000 cue isn't going to make you knock in 50 bucks. You've still got to put the work in and improve your game and all the rest of it. But a good cue will last longer. It will do you good. Don't get me wrong. But really,
but
how it feels in your hand.
The thing is, you'll pay John Paris £1,000. You won't buy that wee Chinese cue for 100 quid that's made out of ash. Yet you'll pay John Paris £1,000. Anyway, we're not going to go any further on that, or I'm going to get into trouble. All right. We've talked about cues, so I sort of like there's 4 questions in one here. So now that we've covered the cues, what about tips? Let's talk about tips. What tips do you use, and how often do you change them? That's a question.
I've got Elkmaster. Yeah, I've got Elkmaster cue. I've pretty much used that all the way through. I've tried a couple of others, but they've been a bit hard for me. So the Elks are pretty much what I've gone. Well, I've got some Century tips actually, which the guy had sent me, and I was going to try them, and I might try it again when it's due. I've had this tip on for so long. Gerard Green put this tip on for me. I don't know what he's done to it, but it's been on forever, and it's still like that big now. So it's no sign of it going anywhere. And I do play.
Hang on a second. Can Jerry Green put a tip on?
No, he's good, mate. He ain't good at a lot of things, but he's good at putting tips on. That's about it.
I'm glad we've actually found something he's good at. That's great.
Exactly. Listen, he's the main man for Barry. Gets his tips on Joe Perry and me and a few of the other guys. He is very good, yeah. And So he knows what he's doing, and he normally does it for me. And but this one I've got now, is I've had it on for ages, and it's sort of lasted. I don't know why, because people say, well, you don't play. Well, I do play. It's just for some reason it's got, I've had it on there for, I can't even remember how long. But I might try a century tip after. I've got some of them. Yep. I've heard they're quite good.
Good. Yep.
So I've got some of them. So I might stick one of them on and give that a go. But it's pretty much been helped for me for years and years.
It's always worth trying something. It's like Stuart said last week. Stuart will try a tip.
Yeah.
He'll hit a few balls with it. He can tell straight away.
Yeah.
It's no good. He'll just rip it off.
Yeah, I mean, you can. Sometimes you can. Sometimes I learn to knock a tip in. It takes me a few days to knock a tip in before I get a real idea of whether it's any good or not, So I might leave it for another few days before I get a real feel for it. But listen, I might have a go and see what these like, because I've heard a few of the guys have used these century tips and they're really good. So I think I'll give them a go next.
Yes, I would. I would, if they paid me enough money, I would sponsor them. I would, you know what I mean. No, very good tips. Very, very impressed with those tips. Let's see. There's Colin Phillips again. He's always hanging around in the background, Colin Phillips. He's
everywhere, mate, isn't he? He gets everywhere.
Colin, what's the matter with you? You bored or something? You're getting on our nerves. Let some people ask some real questions, Anyway, we got spot on Colin. Oh, we're okay. Everybody's talking to Colin. They're not talking to us, Mark. He thinks he's very popular, doesn't he? Well, he is. He's good. He's pretty good, actually.
He is, mate.
First class. Let me see. What do we got here? Rick Harrison. I had this last week. Are you Rick Harrison's brother? All right, I know I look like Rick Harrison. Okay, I'm a wee bit better looking than Rick Harrison. Do you know who that is, Mark?
No.
That's the guy from Porn Stars. The American auction
guy. Yeah.
I'm a lot slimmer than him, and I look a lot better than him too.
You look a little bit like him, not much, mate.
I tell you, look, listen, I wish I had his money, mate. I wish I had his money. He's a very, very wealthy guy.
Is that still on? Because I've watched that. I've watched quite a few episodes of that. Is that still going, that program?
Well, I don't watch TV, so I wouldn't know.
Oh, okay. No, I've seen it. Yeah, I know what you mean now.
Oh, here's a good question from Colin Marshall. He's asking, do you lose concentration with slow players?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can. I mean, especially early years when you played them, it was very, very difficult. I remember playing, I was old enough, I played Robbie Foldvari. Bit more of a billiards player, really, but I played him. He was still around when I was first few years. I was turned pro, and I played him, and he was pretty slow. And that was difficult. And it is difficult sometimes. Not so much now. I'm been around a long time. I'm sort of used to it. But even so, it can affect your concentration when someone taking 10 minutes to have a 30 break. It's very difficult to keep that focus, and you want to keep your focus even when you're sitting on the chair. So you're ready. It's difficult to keep flicking in and out of concentration. But yeah, it's a good question, and it is difficult. You just got to try your best to stay focused even when they're at the table and it's taking a lot longer than you'd like.
Terrible, Mark. I think, playing a slow player, I mean, I've slowed down a bit personally, but, some very good friends of mine, they're terrible. I mean, it's like I very often, have to go and have 2 drinks at the bar by the time they've played their shot. Simon Dent.
I know.
You remember Simon Dent, don't you? They call Simon Dent the snail. Yeah. Because he actually looks like he's playing the slack. He's so slow, it's like he's playing the shot in slow motion.
I know. I don't know. I don't really get it, to be honest with you, because most of the time they play a shot. They know what shot they're going to play within 10 seconds. They know what they're going to play, and they end up playing that shot. But it takes them another minute to play it, and it's all very well if you're playing well. But when you're not and you're losing, that minute gives you a minute of having bad thoughts going into your head for that shot, rather than just playing it. You know you're going to play it. I know you're going to play it. Just do it. They'd be better players for it, a lot of them. I'm telling you.
Mark, I've got something to tell you. Last year, now I don't watch a lot of snooker, Mark, I'll be honest with you, because it bores me. Yeah, it does. I need to watch. See, for me to get into a snooker match, I need to get a wee bit of entertaining value, a wee bit of decent, good play, good play, a wee bit of entertainment. But I was watching Fergal O'Brien. Now, Fergal, I love Fergal. I've met Fergal a few times and had a couple of chats with him. But I was watching Fergal playing a match last year in bed. And I got so angry waiting for Fergal to play the shot that I threw something at the TV at the back of the room, and it knocked the TV down and broke the TV in the bedroom. And I thought, you know what? It's going to take an awful lot for me to get back on the screen and watch some of these players because, mate, I tell you,
Fergal's not too bad. I think he gets a bit of bad press, Fergal. I played him in the World Championships a couple of years ago, and he's not as slow as people think. There's lots slower than Fergal on the tour, trust me.
Look, I'll tell you, Fergal's probably called me every name under the sun now. But the thing is, he is a long-term tour professional. He's very talented, and he's very hard to beat, and he's probably one of the better Irish match players.
Oh, he's a great match player. Yeah, very good match player. Yeah.
Fergal, that's all you're going to get, okay? None of it was true, but that's all you're going to get, okay?
No, anyway, I'm sticking up for Fergal. He's a good lad, Fergal, but he's not that slow.
Anyway, here's some questions. We're not getting through half of these questions.
We might have to do another one, mate.
I know. John Wood's asking here, do you think Jimmy Robertson is good enough, or do you think he'll ever win the World Championship?
Oh.
He's a young guy.
No, who knows? I mean, who knows? It's to win the World Championships. I mean, that's a massive call to say anyone's going to win that. Really, to be honest with you. But I've told you what his game's like, and if he can do that on a regular basis, then he could have a shot. Who knows? But you can only go on what's happening so far, and obviously he's a bit below the standard needed at the moment.
You're away again. That's okay. You were getting on my nerves anyway, to be honest with you. And when you play this back, I can talk about you because you're not here, so I can say anything I like. But having said that, you're a wee bit more exciting than Stuart Bingham. So I'll bring you back on again. He'll be back on in a second, guys. He hasn't heard any of that. Oh, here he comes. He's coming back on now. Here he comes. I've put him on the screen. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He's back on again.
Did it not do this with Stuart?
You know what I think you're doing? I think you're pulling a fast one, mate. I think you're going into the kitchen, putting the kettle on.
Don't know what's going on.
I don't know. It's either that or a wife sitting watching you not to go over and give her a wee cuddle. Something I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, look, we've got the Northern Ireland champion on here. He's asking Declan Lovery. Declan's a very good player.
Okay.
He's not very exciting or anything, but he's good. He's good enough. But let me say, he's asking, of course he's played Jordan. You practiced with Jordan when he came down to play Jimmy, didn't you?
I don't know. Did I? I don't think I did. I think he just played Jimmy for a couple of days, to be honest.
Yeah, he was meant to play you, and then I don't think it worked out, so no.
No, I don't. I did. I think he just stuck with Jimmy in the end.
Yeah.
But, he's good. He's a good player, Jordan, isn't he?
He's up and coming. He's very much... Same place as Jimmy, mate. I think he's in the same place as Jimmy at the minute, if you know what I mean. Up here.
Well, Jordan gets better practice partners, though. Jimmy's got me and Jordan's got Mark Allen. So.
No. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that at all.
Well, having Mark to practice, I know he plays in the same club as Mark. He's good friends with Mark. And that's a great guy to learn from and practice with and all of that. And that's part of your learning. If you've got guys like that you can practice with and learn from, it's a big advantage when you're doing your practice. No,
it is. The feedback I get from the Antrim club, Mark, and I'm sure Mark and Jordan won't mind me saying this, is that, when Mark and Jordan do play, it's very, very often very close.
Yeah.
And okay, maybe, when the players are playing on the same table all the time and they're confined, in each other, the players sort of know each other psychologically and they know their game, and that has a big, big part to do with it, especially you play the same player all the time.
Yeah.
You very often fit in with their environment on the table, and you know how they play. But Mark has often said Jordan's a better player than you see. I know he is because I've seen him.
Yeah. There were plenty like that. There were plenty of players like that. When you see him in practice,
Nice to see Decky Lavery on there. He's a good player. He's not very exciting, but he's all right, for an Irishman. He's all right. He's going to come over and play in some pro-ams. He won't get very far. He doesn't realize how good the players are. No, he does. He does. Right, Dak, you get over here and play some pro-ams. Let's get down here. I haven't even got half through your questions. Right. Stefano. Let me see. I'm going to have the boys. I'm just going to skip some of your questions because I've got other ones here.
But we're doing another one, won't we, at some point? So.
Right, okay. Okay, right, here's a good question. After 25 plus years in your career, do you think you're a better player than you were? Well,
I don't know. I mean, it's difficult to say, really. I mean, I think I've never been very consistent as a player, to be honest. I've never been very consistent, and I think a few years ago, when I did play well, I played a pretty good level, and I won a lot of games. But I don't seem to play. I haven't sort of played at that level for a long time. But maybe my experience has got me through winning a lot of matches. Whereas I don't produce them sort of performances I did a few years ago. But maybe other things have come into it, which is better now than it was then. Maybe shot selection and maybe my safety play, things like that. But I miss too many balls in a minute, really. Now I don't know if it's my age or what, but even in sort of practice, I miss too many easy balls no such thing as an easy ball, but you know what I mean. Just miss balls I shouldn't do, and little lapses in concentration come in a lot more, and all the rest of it. So, it's hard to say if I'm better. I'm probably actual standard-wise, I was better a few years ago, but that didn't happen all the time, but every now and again. Whereas now I'm probably more consistent, but maybe not as good. Which, if that makes sense,
Yeah. Do you feel there are certain areas that you have improved specifically, though?
I think my safety play is got, pretty consistent. I think I'm something I work on. Even now, I still work on it. So I think that's maybe got to a level that could compete. Break building has been up and down, really. I mean, last couple of years, I'm not really, that was sort of one of my strong points, really. I've not really done that the last couple of years. I haven't really been winning too many frames in one visit, which you really need to do. But mate, I think experience is a big thing, mate. You can't buy that. You have to learn that. And you don't necessarily have to take 25, 30 years to do it, but it's a big part of the game. You learn all the time, and that's what you want to do when you're a young player. Learn all the time, and I've had a lot of years of learning, so I think that's got me through a lot of games as well, to be honest. Just the fact of that, rather than, regardless of how the balls are gone, just the fact that I've sort of been playing for so long.
I think, you hit it on there. Stuart gave a very good explanation of that too last week. I think, players, again, I talk about divisions and players who are on the tour. For me, there's huge divisions. There's players at your level with your experience who score heavier.
Yeah.
When they get opportunities on the table, and then you're measuring yourself to that extent because I should be scoring here with 2 or 3 opportunities. I'm not doing that like I used to.
Yeah.
And there's that's a problem. I have to deal with that problem.
Yeah.
But a lot of the pro-am players, that I see come and go, and they're just as good as some of the lower ranked professionals. Many of them are, but a lot of the lower ranked professionals, I see the same thing.
Yeah.
The same thing. It's the same old story. They're not scoring heavy when they get in.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the game. Yeah, you got to do that. You can the best safety game in the world, but you have to pop balls at the end of the day, and you have to make breaks if you want to win matches and you want to win tournaments. That's what you have to do. It's sort of Judd's done that. Just use Judd as an example. He's just done that for years, but now his safety game is probably up there with anyone as well. So he's improved that so much over the last couple of years. It's unbelievable. So you can't get away with one thing. You have to have a whole round game. I'm not saying people want to have a season like Judd's had and winning the World Championships and all the rest of it. But if you want to do it, that's what you've got to do. You've got to improve things. But one of the main things is break building. You have to pop balls and make breaks if you want to win matches. Yep. You can't keep fudging around, and you're not going to, it's very difficult to sort of even make a living doing that, to be honest. You have to, make the breaks and score, win frames in one thing. It can make your opponent think as well when you're doing that. It doesn't maybe scare them, but it makes them think a lot more than if you're winning 4 or 5 visits every frame. That's not really going to scare them. They're not going to be too bothered about that. You start knocking in the big breaks, that really gets them thinking.
Mm-hmm. Touching on Judd there. Judd has taken the game to a whole new level. I think, as But it's great because he's sort of taken over from Ronnie a bit, where he lays on quite a bit of entertainment value, and he does take a lot of shots on. He's very erotic. He does astound the audiences sometimes. Maybe I think he likes to fool around a wee bit, and that's good too because the crowd like to be entertained. I'd love to get Judd on here actually because I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, he does. He seems to do those ones at the end of the fame. They love to see them shots at the end of the fame. And he seems to do that whether he's winning or losing. He don't just do it when he's winning. He's doing it when he's losing as well. It just don't fame that. I think the crowd loves to do it. And some of the shots he plays are just ridiculous. It's all right smashing balls around, but he pots most of them. And the White just does ridiculous things and all that. But he is incredible. And the way he's going,
some of the stuff he's playing like full length table pots with top spin, side. And they're going in, the cue ball's going all over the place. I mean, is it possible? Is it possible?
He could break all sorts of records the way he's going. I think that performance against John last year was about a year ago, last year, wasn't it? I think that's the best performance I've ever seen in the World Championship. It was unbelievable, all the way through. I mean, John played well, really. He didn't play badly at all, and he just hammered him. And I don't know, I've seen a better performance in a world final than that from Judd last year. It was incredible, and he's taken him again this year. He's won 5 tournaments, which is 5 or 6, is it?
Incredible. About 5 or 6, yeah.
Yeah, 5 or 6, and he'd have been favourite for the World Championships if it was on now. He'd have been not massive favourite, but he'd have been favourite, and he could end up breaking all the records the way he's going. To be honest with you, because he's only a young lad. He's got many years left in front of him, and the level he's producing is pretty incredible at the moment.
Just get off the beaten track a wee bit here now. Some different types of questions here. Mark, you seem to keep yourself in good shape. Do you keep fit, run, or work out?
No, I'm up and down with it, really. I've been up and down with it for years. I've done a couple of half marathons, but I've been really up and down. But as we're stuck at home, I've actually started running again the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm trying to lose a little bit on there, which
Yeah, but you're not fat. I mean, you're getting a little bit overweight. But I was a little bit stress. But you're nearly as old as me anyway. I reckon you've got worms or something. You just got lucky. I don't know.
I don't know, mate. But I'm really. To answer the question, I'm really up and down with it. So I go through little spells of doing it, and then I don't do it for a couple of weeks, and then I go back into a bad mode. So it's just how I feel. I have little spells of keeping fit and all those.
Oh, he's away again. You know what it is? Boys, I think he's got a wee bit of bladder trouble, and then he just hits the button. And then he runs out and has a quick squirt and then comes back in again. I don't know. I think he's got a little bottle or a wee bucket behind the chair, maybe, where he just turns around for 20 seconds and gets back online again. Oh, that's terrible. Where were you? You're coming back online now. Here we are.
I'll do it somewhere else next time.
The guy just told everybody you went for a wee pee. It's all right. Don't worry about it, okay?
When we're doing another one, I'll go somewhere else and hopefully a bit better. Driving me mad, keep going.
That's sort it out.
Yeah.
Right. I got a question from Don here. Just carrying on from his question last week. He wants to know if you have any practice gadgets or routines that you would recommend people to use at home.
Not. Well, I mean, the gadgets. I mean, there's one that my coach has just brought out. The balls. It's like 2 balls, really light balls. That he's just brought out, and it's Chris Henry. And I mean, I think they're brilliant practice aids. I do. It really nails you hitting the middle of that white. If you put any sort of side on, it flies off in different directions.
Sorry, Mark, what is this 2 balls thing? Are these 2 balls?
It's a box with 2 balls in. They're like they're like a fraction of the weight of a normal set of balls.
Right.
And they just give you a lot of feedback, much more feedback for hitting the middle of the white. Like if you put it on the yellow spot and try and put it in the top corner pocket. If you don't hit the middle, it won't go in because if you're putting a bit of side on. So they're really good feedback. I mean, so as a tool, they're really good. I mean, I use them a lot when I'm practicing. And
what about this wee gadget where you put you put it on a table and you're putting the cue through? I don't know what that is. Make sure you don't touch the sides.
I don't know what that is. No, I haven't seen that one, mate. I don't know. No, I don't know about that. I mean, I don't use many gadgets, to be honest with you. And the ball's on a gadget. You just play. It just gives you more feedback. I mean, Chris explains it a million times better than I do, but they're really good. And you got one use the red one for the aiming as well. And I mean, they're excellent. And there's all videos on his website that shows you all these routines you can do with the balls. And I think they're really good. And not just saying that because he's my coach and my mate and that. I really do. I think they're really help people improve a lot if they use them. I mean, routines, there's hundreds of routines you can do. It all depends on the level, really. You know, it's hard to give anyone a routine until you know what the level they are. Because, you know, I could give them a routine that is designed for sort of underbreak players when really they're 30-break players, so they'd never do it. So, but I mean, the lineup's good. The standard old lineup is good. You can keep doing that, and then you try and have a 50-break or something. And then when you get to a different level, you can put them all with blacks, all the reds with blacks, and then you go up another level, you can put them all with pinks. Things like that. There's all sorts of ones you can do. But the lineup is really good because there's loads you can do with that. But you really need to see a level of a player before you give them any sort of routines to do, to be honest.
Listen, I don't get it with this gadget things, you know. Just like, boys, listen, just get on the table and replay the shots for Christ's sake, you know. Pot as many balls as you can. You don't need gadgets, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know, when you're practicing and working on your game, then you want that's what you're there for. Work on your game. And if little things do help you, then it's fine. It all depends. Like I say, you want to get gadgets to start getting too technical because I don't think that's a good idea, to be honest with you. But you know, the balls one is not you're playing your normal technique and all the rest of it. You're just getting feedback of where you're hitting it because it might sound weird, but hitting the middle of the white is one of the hardest things you can do. For a lot of players,
absolutely.
They think they're hitting them in the middle of the white, but they're not. Even pros have been dealing with this for years. They think they're hitting the middle of the white, but they're not hitting the middle of the white. They're actually playing with side. And you'll get a lot of feedback from these balls, and it's telling you straight away where you're hitting the middle of the white. So,
I think a lot of very good players don't realise they're applying side.
Of course not. I was doing it. I thought I was hitting the middle of the white, but I was playing with a bit of right inside. That's one of the things I've been doing. A lot of people don't because they're always seeing it, but. You know, it's what it is, and like I say, even for professional players, it's what they have to deal with, and it's a problem when you think you're in the middle of the white, but you're playing with side. That's a bit of a problem because it's going to affect when you do play with side, how much side you're going to get, and all the rest of it. So, like, I'm not a coach, but there's a lot to it, and it's a common problem for pros, let alone amateurs.
Sight rate is a good thing for that, no, Mark. I think because. I was talking to Stuart last week. We were touching on cross dominance. You know, when a player's right-handed and left-eyed, or vice versa. I mean, most of us are not cross dominant. Most of us are right-handed and right-eyed, left and left. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then it's not a problem. But if you're like me, for example, I mean, like I'm past it anyway. But if you're right-handed and you're left-eyed like me, you're not actually seeing the true shot when you get down on the shot. Very often you're not seeing you're either putting a little bit of side on the ball or you're not laying the shot up correctly.
Yeah.
And this is where things like sight rate help. But
yeah, they can do. I mean, like I say, it doesn't hitting the middle of the white can be the fact of how you sight the shot. If you're not behind the shot and you come at an angle, then that all of a sudden that middle of the white is going to look like that to you. But like, I'm really a coach, so I don't really go into. I wasn't going to go into too deep with that because I don't know enough about it. But listen, whatever way you do it, finding the middle of the white is massively important. It doesn't mean you have to hit the middle of the white on every shot. No, hardly anyone does that. But at least you know where it is. And for me, that's really important because then when you are playing with side, you know how much side you're putting on.
This is very good input for juniors, actually. See all you juniors out there, you have to hit the centre of the white ball.
Well, they want to learn like that.
Centre of the white ball.
You want to learn by hitting the centre of the white ball. And then you play. But obviously, where we've got brought up, we were playing on club tables with cloths that were so thick, you had to play with side to move the white. Otherwise, you couldn't move the white anywhere. That's how we all learned to play. So it's hard to get out of that.
Now, we got, there's a friend of mine from Hungary. He's been coming to my pro-arms. He flies over from Hungary, Mark, every month nearly.
Really?
Playing my back-to-back pro-arms. His name's Zolf Fenivesi. And I'll tell you what, this kid's improved so much.
Oh, that's good. That's really dedication, that is.
He's beating really good players at my pro-arms now. You know, he's scoring very heavy. He's hitting loads of 70 and 80 breaks when he gets in, you know, and he's he's got a question for you actually.
Go on then.
And he's asking you, what would be your advice for aspiring players living on the continent in Europe? What options do they have, in your opinion, if they want to improve? And what do you think? What's that about? And what, in your opinion, if they would to improve? And what would you do if you lived outside the UK?
Yeah, I mean, it's different. It depends where you are. If there's any other players around, really, in Europe, if there's other players around there that you can practice with. Because practicing with other players is massive. If you can have good players there to practice with, it's a big thing. Because you can play all you like on your own, and you have to do that. If you want to improve your game, you have to do solo practice as well. But you really need to be playing with good players as well. And if that means travelling over, I mean, some of the academies, some of the, even in the UK, I think there's 2 or 3 academies around in Sheffield, and I think there's one in London. I think there's a few. If you can come over and spend a week there and then playing with the guys who are there, that would do you massive advantage, I think, to do that. It's not cheap, but all depends how much you want to learn. If you're in Europe and there's no really anyone else to play, it's very difficult. I mean, all you're doing is playing solo practice all the time, or maybe you're playing players who come in the club who are nowhere near as good as you, and then you go through the motions of just hitting balls around, which is not really good for anyone. I've done that for years and years of just hitting balls around. I didn't play on my own, and I just wanted people to pick the balls out, basically. But you're going through the motions, you're basically playing subconsciously. You're not concentrating. Then the match comes along, and all of a sudden now you're thinking. Now you're playing consciously. You're playing 2 different games, sort of thing, which is never any good. So yeah, it all depends. If there's players around his level where he lives, then great, keep doing that until you're better than them, and then you need to up your level again and play players who are either better than you, well, ideally better than you, because that's how you learn quicker. If not, then if he's coming over for your pro-ams, then try and come over and maybe stay at academy for a week. I think they all do deals where you can go in there and stay for a week or so, and obviously practice as much as you like, and you have players to play with, and you improve a lot.
I think you've answered that very well. I think I've said the Zolt myself. I think that's the reason why he comes over. He's got nobody to practice with, Mark, over there. There's nobody to give him.
Yeah, if there's no one to practice with, it's very difficult, and you really you need to do the solo, but you really want to be playing people. That sort of helps you improve a lot if you're playing good, concentrate and play properly. Don't mess around. Even when you're playing on your own, treat everything like you've got a reason for it. You really try and get as much feedback as you can, especially when you're playing on your own, but also when you're playing your matches. Really concentrate. If you feel your concentration wavering and you're going through the motions, you're not really concentrating, you're better off stop playing, because that's how you get bad habits. By keep playing when you're just hitting balls around. Don't do that, because that's no good. You'll get nothing out of it, and you end up getting bad habits, and that will probably follow you. Like as for me, for probably a year, I got bad habits years ago while I was doing that. And like I say, I've been tinkering for years and years, little things here and there, probably because they come up when I was doing that sort of thing. Just playing, going through the motions and not even playing properly.
Zach is asking you a question here. The Zach Richardson, the one that we know.
Oh, okay. Right.
That lazy wee shite from Shoreham. Let me say. Oh, did I just say that? I can't believe I just said that. Anyway, look, this is my show, so I can say whatever I like. How many hours did you practice a day during your 30s and 40s? Zach.
It sort of depends. They're probably the same now, mate. To be honest with you, I've always sort of practiced a little bit. I've probably 3 or 4, probably. But if I'm going in, if I'm playing.
He's away again. Goodness me. Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. Yes. Yeah. Some of you lads are asking some questions. I'll answer while he's off the airways for a second here. Yes, Mark has his own table. He's had his own table for years. He locks himself in the room because he's very boring. His wife can't stand him. I can't stand watching him play snooker either, so that's why he has his own room. Anyway, he's coming back on, so don't tell him. Don't tell him.
We'll have to finish off another time, mate, soon.
Yes. We are going to have to get off the airways here.
This is driving, doing my head in. Keeps coming off.
Well, let's get through the last of the questions. Okay.
Zach said it's 3 or 4 hours a day, but if I'm playing someone, I'll play for longer, obviously. So, and it's pretty much been the same for years and years with me, to be honest with you. The problem is I'll get worse, not better. So,
Oh, here's an interesting question. Do we stick with a star or do we go back to Riley?
Well, Riley's. I don't think that's. I think it's a relevant question because Riley's aren't even in business, are they? So
Are they going out of business?
I think so. I mean, I'm not sure about that. Don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure. I don't think they're anymore. Like I say, I might be wrong. If someone knows more than I do, then let me know. But
I think Riley still make tables.
Yeah, I mean, I did like the Rileys, to be honest with you. They probably were my favourite. I think the Rileys were decent. Yeah. We've had the Stars for a long time now, and they're good. I mean, listen, I don't know. I probably prefer the Rileys, if I'm being honest. But I'm not sure that's an option. So it's sort of a pretty moot point, really.
If you weren't a snooker player, what would you be doing?
Oh God, I don't know, mate. I don't know. That's hard to know. I've been playing sort of since I played a lot of tennis when I was younger. I was having lessons and I was playing all the time before I started playing snooker. So I'm not saying I'll be a tennis player or anything silly like that, but I did play a lot. And if I hadn't started playing snooker, I probably would have carried on playing that. But obviously, it's earn your living playing a sport is very, very unlikely for most people. So I really don't know, mate. I probably something boring, you know. Who knows? I'll probably just go from job to job, mate, and doing bits and pieces and whatever, you know. Cause,
do whatever it takes.
But
take a job in Tesco from a night.
Better at school. Maybe I'd have concentrated more at school. So I might have more exams. Who knows?
He was asking also, what are your other hobbies, main hobbies and interests?
Well, I play quite a bit of golf in the summer. Right. I play a little bit of tennis in the summer, but mainly golf. Play a bit of that. So I'm not.
What's your handicap?
Well, it goes up and down, mate. It was 12. I got down to 9 once. I got down to 9 when I was playing a little bit more regular, but I can still play away. You know, probably 12 average. If I played a few rounds, I'd probably end up it'd probably work out as a 12 handicap, I think. But I play with Stuart a bit.
Golf.
I have a few games with Stuart in the summer. Yeah, I played with him a bit in the summer. We have a few games, and
Stuart keeps reminding me how good he is.
No, he's no good. He's crap now. He used to be good. Don't listen to all this 6 handicap rubbish. That was years ago, mate. That was years ago. He's garbage now. I'm telling you, he's rubbish. I have to carry him every time we play. Fact.
Right. Okay. Let's get off the beaten track a wee bit here. Right, who are the names to look out for on the tour at the moment, Mark? There must be some young players you're looking at that are impressing you.
There's a few. I mean, it's not as many as I like. You'd still like to see a few of the young lads, but I don't know. I think the Chinese lads are good. I mean, Xingtong, I think he's going to be some player. I think if he's got to learn the safety game. His safety game is not great, but his potting and break building is tremendous, and he's good to watch. He's great to watch.
He is.
I think he's going to be. You know, he's only a young lad. I think he's going to be a real handful soon, for sure. He's a handful now, but in a few years he's going to be right up there. I think if he learns a safety game and his tactical, he will improve all the time he's on the tour. Every year will improve if he's learning. And I like Jackson Page from Wales. He's a good lad. I think he's going to do well. Mark speaks very highly of him, so you know he's got a great temperament. The lad, I think, which is strange for a young lad. You don't always get that, but his temperament is really, really good. And you never know what he's won or lost. Which, again, for a young lad, you don't often get. So I think he's going to do well in a few years. All the time he's his first year on the tour. You know, he's still learning, and it takes a while. You can't buy that. You have to go through the experience of the playing and getting bad losses to learn and improve. It's the only way. It's the only way you can do it. You have to go through it. So there's a few, and there's a few other lads that go through. So it's hard to say, but I think obviously Xingtong, Jackson Page. I mean, I don't know how old a lot of the players are. I think who are improving. To be honest with you, I'm not sure whether they're classed as young lads or not. But I think the main ones to watch are probably the Chinese lads because I think they come over every year. There's more of them every year. They seem to be getting younger and younger, and they're all really good. So. Hopefully we get a few more from UK and Europe that come through as well.
Right, this is going to be the last question.
Okay, mate. We're doing another one, Dave, and
we'll do another one. But we'll make this the last question because we're
half an hour.
I think we've run as long as the movie The Godfather. I mean, I can't believe we've run nearly 100 minutes. Anyway, Good, very good
I mean,
friend of
30
mine.
minutes reconnecting every time, mate. It's your
No,
fault.
don't worry about that. We'll sort that out.
Okay, no problem.
That
We do one more and we'll sort up another one for sure.
Now, Jerry, I don't know why you remember Jerry Harvey's a good friend of mine. Used to play snooker with him quite a few years ago, and he just sent me a message there earlier. I nearly forgot about it. He said, "Did you think you'd ever turn professional after losing to me in the deluxe Saturday competition in the 80s?"
Oh my God!
Do you remember that?
I don't remember the match, mate, but the Deluxe was the club I played at when I was growing up. That was the club.
Jez Harvey.
Oh, brilliant club, mate! Absolutely brilliant club. It was one floor, but you had all sorts of games going on. You had the points games, you had serious games, and you had all sorts going on. One floor, but amazing, but it worked. It was, honestly, you don't get many clubs like that anymore, and it was brilliant. I don't remember that match, but obviously, like I say, the Deluxe was where I started playing and where I grew up playing, and all the rest of it.
Right, Mark will be back in a wee second to say goodbye. Guys, thanks for joining us again. We're going to wrap this up in about a couple of minutes. So we'll get the old boy back on here and say goodbye to him. Got lots of questions on Messenger, not so many questions on here on the stream, but very good nonetheless. He's coming back on.
Sorry, last one. We get through this question.
That's a wrap.
The Deluxe, so I started playing and grew up playing. So obviously, when I started playing, I loved the game. I wanted to play all the time. So obviously, the plan was to turn pro eventually. Did I think I'd do that? I've no idea. I honestly can't tell you. I like to think I could, but that particular match, it depends how good he was. I lost a few matches down there, so probably at the time I thought no. I thought if I'm losing in the Deluxe Sunday morning handicap, then what chance you got? But there you go. But I brings back memories. That club, brilliant club though.
Right, Mark, have you any idea how long we've been on here?
I know, mate. I know.
96 minutes.
Dave, we'll sort out another one, Dave, and
we could have watched a good film, but this was even better.
Of course, it's better.
But listen, thanks for coming on, mate.
No problem, mate. We're doing another one. Sort another one out, and I'll try and answer the rest of the questions. No problem.
Put up with all my banter, no silly questions, but no, I think this is a good start to this and good bit of feedback for all you players and fans out there. And I hope you listened very, very carefully to a lot of the questions and you got something back from it. So we're going to say goodbye. And next week, we've got the fantastic, the very mature presence of Mr. Barry Pinches, Pro-Am champion of the world. But he has a lot to offer. And in the coming weeks, we've got some referees, we've got some coaches. We've got some more players who are going to come on. Some of them haven't returned my phone calls, by the way. Not very happy with you boys.
Good judge.
16 players haven't. Oh, and by the way, Mark, I want to get Joe on. So can you give Joe? I want get Joe Perry to give me a call, will you?
Yeah, okay, mate. I will do. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of Joe's got a lot of fans down here.
No, Joe be good, mate. Joe be good. He's good.
He's a lovely guy. I want to get him on here.
I'll send him your number, mate.
That'll be good, mate. That's all right.
Nice one.
Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you all next week.
Cheers, guys.
Send questions in. I'll let you know. Put the posters up. And hopefully we'll get out of this crisis and we'll be better people. Hopefully Mark will be a better player. You never know. You never know. You never know what a wee break does to you.
Exactly, yeah. It's quite nice having a little break. But no, we'll do another one, Dave, and we'll answer the questions I missed tonight. And we'll do another one for that. No problem at all. Cheers, guys.
See you next week, guys.